Minasan konnichiwa, watashi wa Christine desu, and our topic for today is all about the literature from the land of the rising sun, the Japanese literature. The coverage of this topic are first, basic facts about Japan, second, nature or characteristics of Japanese literature, third, Japanese prose, fourth, Japanese poetry, then lastly, writers and poets and their works.
So, basic facts about Japan, a glimpse into Japan's geography, culture, governments, and fun facts. This flag is known as Nishoki, meaning the sun-marked flag, or Hinomaru, meaning the circle of the sun. So the white background of the flag, it symbolizes the honesty of the Japanese people. And the crimson red disc, it represents the Amaterasu, or the sun goddess.
Japan is often referred to as the land of rising sun because of its name in Japanese, Nihon or Nippon, which translates to origin of the sun. So this phrase relates to Japan's geographical position to the east of the Asian continent, where the sun rises. So the term became popularized during the early interactions with China, where Japan was seen as the place from which the sun rose. Additionally, the rising sun is a significant symbol in Japanese culture, representing hope, new beginnings, and the imperial family. The imagery of the rising sun is also prominent in Japan's national flag, which features a red circle symbolizing the sun on a white background. So, the form of government, Japan has a unique political system where a constitutional monarchy coexists with a parliamentary government. So the emperor, currently Emperor Naruhito, is the symbolic head of state, while the elected prime minister holds political power and runs the government. Tokyo, the largest metropolitan area in the world, is a major global financial center and plays a significant role in international politics, culture, and technology. So the population, with a population of over 126 million people, Japan is the 11th most populous country in the world, though its population is aging, with the low birth rates leading to demographic challenges. So, Japanese is the official language and it has a unique writing system composed of kanji, a Chinese characters, and two-syllabic scripts, hiragana and katakana. English is taught widely as a second language. Currency, Japanese yen. It is the one of most traded currencies in the world and plays an important role in the global economy. So the area Japan is relatively small in size compared to its global influence. Yet, it packs a variety of landscape into its 145,883 square miles, from bustling cities to serene countryside.
Geography. Japan is an archipelago located in the eastern edge of Asia. It consists of four main islands: Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. So Japan is made up of over 6,000 islands, but only four main islands: Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. They are heavily populated and significant in terms of political and economic activity. Honshu is the largest and home to cities like Tokyo and Kyoto. Japanese culture emphasizes dedication to work and respect for others, especially authority figures and elders. These values are instilled from a young age, with children learning the importance of contributing to family and societal harmony. This has contributed to Japan's reputation as a country of high productivity and strong community bonds. Unlike in many Western cultures where individualism is highly valued, Japan traditionally places the group above personal desires. So this collective mindset influences everything from workplace dynamics to social interactions. The indigenous religion of Japan, which is the Shinto, holds that natural elements such as mountains, waterfalls, and forests are inhabited by spirits. This spiritual connection to nature can be seen in traditional Japanese architecture, art, and festivals. The reverence for natural beauty is also reflected in practices like cherry blossom viewing. Japan's connection to nature extends to its modern day practices. Despite its high level of industrialization, the country has strong environmental policies aimed at preserving natural landscapes and wildlife. Did you know? In the past, women, especially those from the upper classes, used to dye their teeth black. So this was considered a symbol of beauty and status during Japan's early modern period. The practice, known as ohagaru, has since faded. Japan and Russia's World War II peace treaty. Despite the end of hostilities in World War II, Japan and Russia never signed a formal peace treaty, primarily due to disputes over the Kuril Islands. This unresolved conflict still affects the diplomatic relations today. Manga, a Japanese comic books, holds a special place in Japanese culture, influencing both the entertainment industry and international pop culture. It spans a wide range of genres, appealing to audiences of all ages. Fuju, a delicacy in Japan, is a highly poisonous fish. Specially trained and licensed chefs must prepare it to avoid the fatal toxin. Due to the risk, Japanese royalty is forbidden to consume fuju. Japan's geography is more expansive than many realize, with thousands of islands spread across the Pacific. However, only a small number of these islands are inhabited, and the majority of the population lives on the four largest islands.
Characteristics or nature of Japanese literature. What is Japanese literature? Japanese literature is the body of written works produced by Japanese authors in Japanese or in its earliest beginnings at a time when Japan had no written language, in the Chinese classical language. Japanese literature spans a period of almost 2 millennia and comprises one of the major literatures in the world, comparable to English literature in age and scope. It comprises a number of genres including novels, poetry, and drama, travelogues, personal diaries, and collection of random thoughts and impressions. The Japanese literature can be difficult to read and understand because in many ways the written Japanese reflects certain peculiarities of the spoken language. Its deliberate isolation during the 17th and 18th centuries created a strong cultural homogeneity, and the literature of that period incorporated many common understandings that are unintelligible to someone who does not share the same background. For example, Japanese readers of the 17th century immediately understood the phrase "some smoke rose noisily" or the "Kemuri tachi sawagite" as a reference to Great Fire of 1682 that ravaged Edo, the modern city of Tokyo. Though the Japanese writing system was first adopted from Chinese, the Japanese and Chinese languages are unrelated. The original Japanese language contained a great variety of words expressing emotion and feeling, but very few words for abstract intellectual concepts such as the justice, morality, honesty, or rectitude. The nature of the Japanese language influenced the development of poetic forms
All Japanese words end in one of five simple vowels, making it difficult to construct effective rhymes. Japanese words also lack a stressed accent, so that poetry was distinguished from prose mainly by being divided into lines of specific numbers of syllables, rather than by cadence and rhythm. These characteristics made longer poetic forms difficult, and most Japanese poems are short, their poetic quality coming from rich allusions and multiple meanings evoked by each word used in the composition. The Japanese prose often contains very long sentences which follow the train of the author's thought. Japanese writers concentrated more on making a smooth transition from one thought to the next than on linking each statement to an overall structure or meaning. Personal diaries and account of travel from place to place developed as a means of linking unrelated elements together in a chronological succession. In the next slide, understanding Japanese literature can be challenging due to its linguistic, cultural, and historical context. Linguistic peculiarities. The Japanese language relies on subtlety, wordplay, and the use of kanji and kana, making translation difficult. Poetic forms like haiku often lose their nuanced meanings when translated. The second one, cultural context. Japanese literature reflects cultural homogeneity with indirect expressions and shared customs. Themes like mono no aware, sensitivity to the transient beauty of life, may not resonate easily with non-Japanese readers. Number 3, the last one, historical references. Works are often filed with allusions to historical events, figures, and traditions understood by native readers. For example, the phrase, "some smoke grows noisily," would immediately remind Japanese readers of the 1682 Edo Fire, a reference that might be lost on others. In this slide, the adaptation of writing from Chinese to Japanese was shaped by the differences between the two languages. Japanese was originally rich in vocabulary for emotions and concrete experiences, but lacked terms of abstract intellectual concepts like justice or morality. Chinese, however, had a well-developed vocabulary for such ideas due to its tradition of philosophical and scholarly writing. As a result, when adapting Chinese text, Japanese had to borrow or create new words to express these abstract concepts, influencing the development of the Japanese language. Japanese poetic forms developed without relying on rhyme, as most Japanese words end in vowel sounds, making rhyming less effective. Instead, poetry was distinguished from prose through strict syllable patterns, such as the 5-7-5 structure of haiku and the 5-7-5-7-7 structure of tanka. Japanese poetry also emphasized rhythm, tone, and rich allusions, using the concise language to convey deep emotion and layered meanings, often referencing nature history and the cultural themes. Next one. Japanese prose is characterized by long, flowing sentences that mirror the rhythm of the author's thoughts, creating a poetic and introspective tone. It emphasizes smooth transitions over rigid, structured statements, allowing for seamless shifts between ideas. This fluid style is also seen in diaries and travelogues, where chronological succession blends naturally with the personal reflections, providing a continuous, immersive narrative. Japanese literature places a strong emphasis on nature, reflecting a deep connection between humans and the environment. This perspective, rooted in Shinto beliefs, sees humans as integral to nature rather than separate from it, fostering themes of harmony and coexistence. Natural imagery is extensively used to convey complex emotions. For example, cherry blossoms symbolizes the fleeting nature of beauty and life, while the autumn leaves represents maturity and change. This, this imagery allows authors to imply feelings indirectly, inviting readers to interpret emotions through vivid descriptions. Additionally, philosophical themes such as mono-aware or the sensitivity to the ephemeral, encouraging reflection on the transient beauty of life. Overall, the connection between nature and human experience enriches Japanese literature, inviting contemplation on emotions and the passage of time. The next one is the traditional Japanese aesthetics, particularly wabi-sabi and mono-aware, significantly influenced literature by shaping perceptions of beauty, nature, and human emotions. The wabi-sabi, or beauty in imperfection. Wabi-sabi appreciates imperfections and the natural cycle of growth and decay. In literature, this philosophy manifests through, first one, imagery, focus on natural flaws and irregularities, such as asymmetrical flowers or weathered objects, inviting readers to appreciate unique beauty. Second one is the tone, a contemplative and reflective tone that evokes nostalgia and longing, encouraging acceptance of life's fleeting moments. The number two was the mono-aware or sensitivity to transience. Mono-aware emphasizes awareness of the transient nature of beauty and life. This concept influences literature through, number one, the imagery, use of natural elements like falling cherry blossoms or fading light to highlight impermanence and evoke bittersweet emotions. Themes, exploration of mortality and change, with characters reflecting on their lives and relationships, often feeling a mix of loss and appreciation. The third one is influence on emotions. Both concepts encourage deep exploration of human emotions, leading to themes of longing, nostalgia, and melancholy as characters confront the beauty and transience of their experiences. Themes of isolation and loneliness. Modern Japanese literature often explores themes of isolation and loneliness, reflecting the impact of modernization, urbanization, and the complexities of modern life on individual experiences. The use of symbolism. Symbolism is frequently employed in Japanese literature to convey deeper meanings and create layers of interpretation. Symbols range from traditional motifs like cherry blossoms that representing fleeting beauty to more personal and context-specific imagery. The influence of religion and philosophy in Japanese literature is significant, particularly through Shinto, Buddhism, and Confucianism, each contributing distinct themes of spirituality, morality, and existence. Number one, Shinto. Nature and spirituality emphasizes reverence for nature, viewing it as sacred and filled with kami or spirits, which is reflected in literary depictions of the natural world. Ritual and community. It highlights communal identity and tradition, often exploring themes of celebration and shared values. Transience acknowledges the fleeting nature of life, resonating with the concept of mono-aware, fostering appreciation for ephemeral beauty. The second one, Buddhism, suffering and existence, centers on the nature of suffering and the quest for enlightenment, with the characters grappling with existential dilemmas. Impermanence emphasizes the transient nature of all things, prompting reflections on beauty and change. The mindfulness incorporates a meditative quality, encouraging reflective engagement with characters' emotional landscapes. Karma, it explores moral consequences, highlighting the interconnectedness of actions and outcomes. And the last is the Confucianism. The morality stresses ethical behavior and integrity, often exploring themes of loyalty and filial piety within family dynamics. The social harmony values community and relationships, depicting the importance of maintaining balance and cooperation. In education, it emphasizes self-cultivation and intellectual growth, highlighting journeys of self-discovery. And overall, these influences create a rich framework in Japanese literature that invites readers to reflect on the complexities of existence, nature, and the morality.
So now, let's discuss about Japanese prose. The early beginnings of Japanese prose. Oral traditions. Before there were written records, Japanese literature began with oral traditions. This included stories, myths, legends, and folktales passed down from generation to generation. People would share these stories verbally, keeping their culture and history alive through storytelling. Introduction of writing. In the 4th century, Japan adopted the Chinese writing system. This introduction of writing allowed people to start recording their stories, thoughts, and traditions in written form. It was an important step in the development of Japanese literature as it laid the foundation for written prose in Japan. These early steps, first through spoken stories and then written records, it shaped the beginnings of Japanese literature and culture. Kojiki. The Kojiki, or Records of Ancient Matters, is Japan's oldest surviving written work. It is a collection of myths and legends that were compiled to give a mythological background to Japan's imperial family and the nation. The stories in the Kojiki provide insight into the beliefs, culture, and traditions of early Japan. It is especially important for understanding the religious ideas of that time, including the origins of the gods and the world. The Kojiki remains a valuable piece of Japan's history and culture. Next is Nihon Shoki. The Nihon Shoki, or Chronicles of Japan, is an important record of Japan's history. It provides a more detailed and complete account than earlier works, covering both mythological stories and actual historical events. The Nihon Shoki was written in classical Chinese, showing the strong influence of Chinese culture on Japan during that time. This work helped us understand Japan's early history, culture, and how the country viewed its origins and connections to the rest of Asia. It remains a key source for learning about Japan's ancient past. Next is Monogatari. Monogatari, or narrative tales, became a popular type of prose during Japan's Heian period. Japan's Heian period started in 794 until 1185. These stories were often provide romantic and epic, focusing on love, adventure, and the lives of noble families. One of the most famous examples is the tale of Genji, or Genji Monogatari, written by Murasaki Shikibu in the early 11th century. This story is known for its rich characters and detailed look at the life and culture of the Heian court. The Monogatari style helped shape Japanese literature and storytelling during this time. Now, let's discuss about the rise of the novel. The rise of the novel starts in 1603 until 1868. The first topic we'll be discussing is the ukiyo-zoshi. Ukiyo-zoshi, or books of the floating world, is a genre of popular fiction that became popular during Japan's Edo period. These stories focus on the everyday life, pleasures, and challenges of people living in cities, especially in the pleasure quarters of places like Edo. Edo is the modern-day Tokyo now. The stories in this genre were often about the experiences of merchants, samurai, and people visiting entertainment districts. Ihara Saikaku was a well-known author who wrote many ukiyo-zoshi stories. capturing the lively and sometimes risky life of the urban world. These tales help people understand city life during the Edo period. Next is Meiji. The Meiji Restoration in 1868 brought many changes to Japan, including new ideas in literature. During this time, modern realism became an important part of Japanese writing, influenced by Western literary styles. Writers started to focus on realistic stories that explored the challenges and experiences of individuals in society. They wrote about the changes in everyday life, the struggles people face, and the impact of modernization. This shift helped Japanese literature become more connected to real-life issues and the feelings of people during this period. Natsume Soseki. Natsume Soseki was born in 1867 and died in 1916. Natsume Soseki was a Japanese writer known for mixing traditional Japanese themes with Western styles of storytelling. He is considered one of Japan's most important literary figures. His work explored the challenges of modern life in Japan as the country moved from a traditional society to one influenced by Western ideas. Two of his famous works are I Am a Cat and Kokoro. I Am a Cat is a satirical novel written from the perspectives of a stray cat using humor to criticize society. It offers insights into human behavior and the changes happening in Japan at that time. Kokoro, which means heart in Japanese, deals with the themes like loneliness, change, and the conflicts between older and younger generations. It reflects the struggles of people in a time of social transition. Soseki's writing is known for its deep thoughts, emotional depth, and ability to describe the struggles of people in a changing world. He studied in England, which greatly influenced his style, allowing him to incorporate Western literary techniques into his works. Now, we move on to modern and contemporary prose. Ryunosuke Akutagawa. Ryunosuke Akutagawa was born in 1892 and died on 1927. Is often called the father of the Japanese short story. He is well known for his skill in writing short stories, making him one of the most important writers in modern Japanese literature. His work mixes traditional Japanese themes with modern ideas, often focusing on deep existential questions about human nature and life. Two of his most famous stories are Rashomon and In a Grove. Rashomon is set in historical Japan and explores the harsh realities of life, highlighting how desperate situations can change people's behavior. In a Grove is known for its unique storytelling style, where multiple characters give different versions of the same event, leaving readers to question what is true. This story looks at the nature of truth and the complexities of human perspectives. Akutagawa's stories often take inspiration from Japanese history and folklore, but he adds modern thoughts and emotions to these tales. He faced personal struggles, especially with his mental health, which influenced the dark and reflective themes in his work. Despite his short life, he left a lasting impact on Japanese literature. Next is Yasunari Kawabata. Yasunari Kawabata was the first Japanese writer to win the Nobel Prize in Literature, receiving the honor in 1968. He is known for his poetic writing style and his ability to explore deep emotions and the beauty of life. His stories often focus on themes like loneliness, the beauty of nature, and the passage of time. Two of Kawabata's well-known works are Snow Country and The Sound of the Mountain. Snow Country tells the story of a love affair between a wealthy man and a geisha in a remote, snowy village. The story is filled with beautiful descriptions of the landscape, reflecting the cold and fragile nature of the relationship. The Sound of the Mountain explores the life of an aging man as he reflects on his family and his past. It deals with the themes of aging, loss, and the quiet moments that shape our lives. Kawabata's writing is known for its gentle and poetic style. He often uses simple language to convey deep feelings and the beauty of everyday moments. His works are celebrated for their ability to express the subtle and often unspoken aspects of human experience. Next and the last is Haruki Murakami. Haruki Murakami was born in 1949. Haruki is a popular Japanese writer known for mixing reality with dreamlike and surreal elements. His stories often include references to pop culture, music, and everyday life, but they also explore deeper, existential questions about life and the human mind. Murakami's writing style is engaging and often draws readers into strange, otherworldly experiences. Two of his well-known novels are Norwegian Wood and Kafka on the Shore. Norwegian Wood is a coming-of-age story about love, loss, and memory, focusing on a young man's struggles with relationships and the pain of growing up. It's one of his more straightforward stories. With a strong emotional core, Kafka on the Shore is more surreal and complex, blending reality with fantasy. It follows a teenage boy named Kafka who runs away from home and an older man who can talk to cats. The novel explores themes of destiny, identity, and the mysteries of the mind. Murakami's work often touch on themes like feeling isolated, searching for who you really are, and trying to find meaning in a confusing world. His characters often feel lost or disconnected, reflecting the struggles many people face in modern life. His stories invite readers to think deeply while also taking them to on unexpected journeys.
Now, let's move on to the Japanese poetry. Let's start with the brief history of Japanese poetry. So, Japanese poetry traces its origins back to the influence of the Chinese Tang Dynasty, which is a period of immense cultural flourishing across Asia. The earliest known Japanese poetry collections or books are Kojiki and Nihon Shoki, which were written primarily in Chinese, showcasing the early impact of this powerful tradition. However, the Japanese soon developed its own unique poetic expression known as waka. This umbrella term encompasses various forms of poetry written in the Japanese language, and its earliest known compilation is the Manyosh, or Manyosho, which is the oldest known book composed of 20-volume compendium of waka that was printed in the 7th century. The collection includes 265 choka, which are long poems, and 4,207 tanka, or short poems, offering a glimpse into the early world of Japanese poetry. Over the centuries, Japanese poetry has evolved into a diverse array of forms, each with its own distinct characteristics. Let's find out the 10 types of Japanese poetry. The first one is haiku, which is the most well-known form of Japanese poetry and originally part of Renga. So haiku is originally called Hokku, but was renamed haiku by famous haiku poet Masaoka Shiki and became its own standalone poetic form in the 19th century. Traditionally, haiku is non-rhyming and have 17 syllables broken up into 575 lines. However, in modern poetry, it became more flexible, wherein some haikus are written with a 535 pattern and some are simply comprised of 3 non-rhyming lines. The themes of haiku are more on nature and seasons. There are four famous haiku masters. First is Masaoka Shiki, 1867 to 1902. After Killing a Spider and Night and Once Again are among his works. Second, Kobayashi Isa, 1763 to 1828. Among his works are The World of Ju and Don't Worry, Spiders. Third is Matsuo Basho, 1644 to 1694. Among his works are An Old Silent Pond and Autumn Moonlight. Last one is Yotha Buson, 1716 to 1784. The Light of a Candle and Coolness of the Melons are among his works. The second one is kanshi. Kanshi is the Japanese word for Chinese poetry, and it includes Japanese poetry that are written in Chinese. This genre of poetry is popular during the Heian period and a favorite among Japanese aristocrats due to several reasons. One of it is cultural prestige. Writing in Chinese was seen as a mark of high culture and sophistication. Chinese was the language of the court and the educated elite, so mastering it and composing poetry in it was a way to demonstrate one's status. Another one is educational and diplomatic connections. Many Japanese aristocrats and scholars traveled to China for study or diplomatic missions, where they learned Chinese literature and poetry firsthand. This exposure further fueled their interest in kanji. Another, imperial patronage. The Japanese imperial court actively promoted kanji poetry, with emperors like Emperor Saga commissioning anthologies of kanji and encouraging its practice among the nobility. The last one is its literary tradition. Kanji was considered a higher form of poetry compared to native Japanese forms like waka, and it was often used in official and ceremonial contexts. The third one is renga. In the 12th century, the poetic style renga came about. Renga is a collaborative form of poetry. It involves two or more stanzas, and the opening stanza is called the hokku, which is a portion of the form that was eventually separated into its own poetic form known as haiku. So it is collaborative because one poet will write the opening stanza, which has 17 syllables divided into 3 lines. Then after that, the next poet will continue it and write the second stanza, which is a couplet with 7 syllables in each line. This stanza pattern is repeated. Matsuo Basho was known for this type of poetry. Number 4 is renku. Renku is another type of collaborative poetry and link verse, written by different poets, so it is similar to renga. However, in renku, you will alternate 3-line and 2-line stanzas. So, for example, the first stanza will be composed of 3 lines, then the second stanza is composed of 2 lines, then the third stanza will have 3 lines again, then the fourth stanza will have 2 lines. So, mag-alternate lang siya. Renku often had comical themes, and it is a form of entertainment because poets would gather to write these poems together. Number 5 is waka. As I have said a while back, it is the earliest Japanese poetry form, which refers to any genre of poetry written in Japanese. In ancient times, the aristocratic class known as kuge would often exchange waka instead of letters. Kasi nga, composing poetry is a way for them to demonstrate their status. During the Heian period, women were the primary waka poets since men traditionally wrote in Chinese during this time. One of the most famous waka poets was Kakinomoto Hitomaru. Next, number 6, Tanka. Tanka is the modern name for classic Japanese poetry, meaning short poems. Tanka poetry is non-rhyming, so similar siya sa traditional haiku. There are 5 lines in a tanka with a meter pattern of 5-7-5-7-7. The first 3 lines of a tanka, which is 5-7-5, are called kaminoku, or upper phrase. The last 2 lines are called shimo-noku, or lower phrase. Number 7 is haikai. Haikai is a type of link verse poetry that gained prominence during the Edo period, 1603 to 1868 CE. It is characterized by its incorporation of satire, humor, and puns, making it a playful and engaging form of literary expression. Haikai poems typically contain over 100 verses, showcasing the collaborative effort of multiple poets. Matsuo Basho, one of the most renowned poets of the Edo period, was a master of haikai. While he is best known for his haiku, Basho's contributions to the haikai genre were significant. His ability to blend humor with deep observation of nature and human behavior made his haikai works stand out. Next is haibun. Haibun is a combination of haiku and prose, creating a unique blend of poetic imagery and narrative. It was popularized by Matsuo Basho in the 17th century. Number 9. Katauta. Katauta is a 3-line poem with a syllable count of either 5-7-5 or 5-7-7. It is often considered an incomplete poem. It typically portrays one lover addressing another, and when paired with a response from the other lover, it forms the next type of poetry, which is sedoka. Next, number 10, sedoka. A sedoka poem is a call and response poem. These love poems are made up of 2 katauta verses. The first verse poses a question, and the second verse provides an answer, creating a dialogue between lovers. Each verse has a 5-7-5 or 5-7-7 pattern, so it is called katauta if it is only has one verse, but if it is paired with a response from the other person or other lover, it forms a sedoka. Now we're done with the 10 types of Japanese poetry, so let's move on to the modern Japanese poetry. Modern poetry is the post-World War II Japanese poetry known as Gendaishi. The 20th century witnessed a significant shift in Japanese poetry, influenced by Western literary ideas and a desire for greater freedom of expression. This era saw the emergence of free verse, new forms, and Western influences. First is the free verse. Modern poetry was freed from the constraints of traditional forms, wherein it allowed poets to experiment with language and rhythm, capturing the complexities of modern life. Next is new forms. Poets embrace a new forms like shi, which is a type of free verse, and hyakunin, a poem of 100 verses, further expanding the possibilities of poetic expression. Another one is Western influences. Western poets like Walt Whitman and T.S. Eliot inspired Japanese poets to explore themes of modernity, alienation, and urban life, reflecting the changing landscape of Japanese society. The legacy of Japanese poetry continues to thrive in the hands of contemporary poets who push boundaries and explore new themes. Let's meet a few of these prominent figures. Our first contemporary poet is Shuntaro Tanikawa. Shuntaro Tanikawa is known for his accessible and lyrical style, and often explores themes of love, loss, and the human condition. His first book, 2 Billion Light Years of Solitude, 1952, remains a popular and beloved work in Japan. This is an example of his poem, which is entitled as Museum. Another contemporary poet is Toyo Shibata. Toyo Shibata is a late bloomer in the world of poetry. Shibata found success with 2 best-selling collections of verse. She is one of the oldest poets in the world and a testament to the power of creativity at any age. Since its publication in 2009, her anthology Kujikenaide, which means Don't Lose Heart, has already sold 1.5 million copies. So this is the image of her book entitled as Don't Lose Heart. Number 3 is Kenji Miyazawa. Kenji Miyazawa is a Japanese poet, a novelist, and children's author known for his unique blend of scientific curiosity, Buddhist beliefs, and deep ecological awareness. One of his works is Strong in the Rain, which is one of Miyazawa's most well-known works. It describes an ideal person who remains steadfast and compassionate despite life's challenges. The poem is often cited for its inspirational message and enduring relevance. So this is the cover of his poem, which is The Strong in the Rain. Next topic will be the major writers and poets of Japanese literature and their works.
Japanese, there are 6 periods. So number 1 is Nara period. Otomo no Yakamochi was a prominent Japanese poet and court official during the Nara period. He is most well known for his significant role in compiling the Manyoshu, which is the largest and one of the oldest collections of Japanese poetry. So this collection is a key cultural artifact in Japan, showcasing over 4 centuries of poetic expression, capturing a variety of voices and emotions from different social classes and individuals from the Nara period. So the Manyoshi reflects a broad range of themes such as the nature and seasons, love and longing, melancholy and sorrow, public and personal life. Takemoto no Hitomaro is considered one of the greatest poets of the Nara period and is renowned for his lyrical and emotive waka poetry. His works often focus on nature, love, and loss. So his poetry is prominently featured in the Manyoshi, which is a famous anthology of Japanese poetry. So an example of his work is Lament for Prince Takechi. The Kojiki and Nihon Shoki are Japan's oldest historical chronicles, compiled in the early 8th century by unknown authors working for the imperial court. So these works were created to legitimize the imperial family's divine ancestry and establish a cohesive historical narrative for Japan. Blending history with mythology, the Kojiki focuses on Japan's mythology origins, while the Nihon Shoki provides a more detailed historical account. Both are fundamental to understanding Japan's early cultural and political identity.
The Heian period. So here's the summary of Murasaki Shikibu and the Tale of Genji. Murasaki Shikibu 973-1014. An anonymous female author of the Heian period. Murasaki Shikibu was likely a lady-in-waiting at the imperial court. She is best known for her literary work, The Tale of Genji. Heian period, uh, this era was characterized by cultural flourishing, particularly in arts and literature, with a focus on court life, refined aesthetics, and the development of a distinct literary culture, especially among women writing in Japanese or the kana. So, The Tale of Genji, the publication was written in the early 11th century. It is considered the world's first novel. The plot was the story follows Hikaru Genji, the shining prince who, despite being the son of an emperor, faces political demotion and navigates complex romantic relationships with various women in the Heian court. So, the key themes are courtly love, explores the complexities of love, including emotional depth, unfulfilled desires, and the impacts of social status and jealousy. So, what is the human relationships? Delves in the intricacies of friendships, rivalries, and familial bonds, reflecting on the joys and sorrows of life and the psychological depth of characters. The Transcends emphasizes the ephemeral nature of beauty and relationships, aligning with the theme of Monon Aware, which highlights the awareness of life's impermanence. So, what is the literary significance? The narrative techniques employs innovative techniques such as multiple perspective and internal monologues, enhancing character development and thematic richness. The cultural impact is the novel has profoundly influenced Japanese literature and culture, establishing a model for the modern novel and continuing to resonate in various literary forms and adaptations. The conclusion is Murasaki Shikibu's The Tale of Genji is a seminal work in world literature, offering deep insights into courtly love, human relationships, and the complexities of the human condition, solidifying its status as a timeless classic. The next slide is all about Sei Shonagon and the Pillow Book. Sei Shonagon 966-1017 was a notable author of the Heian period, best known for her work, The Pillow Book or the Makura no Sashi. This collection of essays, lists, and reflections offers a vivid glimpse into the daily life and thoughts of a noble woman at the Heian court. The key themes in the Pillow Book: court life versus common life. Shonagon contrasts the refined world of the Heian court with the simpler life of commoners, highlighting the elegance and rituals of court life and reflecting on the privileges and isolation of nobility. Second one is the aesthetic of beauty. The work emphasizes the appreciation of beauty in nature, art, and personal expression, aligning with the concept of monon-aware or the sensitivity to the ephemeral. Shonagon's descriptions evoke wonder and emotion tied to the transient nature of beauty. The third one, poetry and social relationships. Poetry is integrated throughout her essays, showcasing its significance in court culture and serving as a means of expressing emotions and social dynamics. Shonagon explores friendships, rivalries, and romantic interests among courtiers. The fourth one is the romance and official duty. The tension between personal desires and official responsibilities is a recurring theme. Shonagon reflects on the complexities of love within the constraints of courtly duty, revealing her own feelings of longing and the interplay between affection and obligation. The fifth one, the cultural tradition. The Pillow Book preserves Heian culture, capturing customs, rituals, and values. Shonagon's observations provide insights into the cultural practices of her time, offering both celebration and critique of the traditions shaping her identity. So all, in conclusion, Sei Shonagon's The Pillow Book remains a significant work in Japanese literature, providing an intimate exploration of Heian court life through its themes of social relationships, aesthetic beauty, and the balance between romance and duty. Her keen observations and literary style offers timeless glimpse into the complexities of a noble woman's experience in the Heian period. Next one, Ariwara no Narihira and his poetry. Ariwara no Narihira, 825-880, was a notable poet of the Heian period, celebrated for his elegant and often melancholic waka poetry. He significantly contributed to the Kokin Wakashu, or the collection of ancient and modern Japanese poetry, compiled by Imperial Order in 905 CE, which is one of the earliest anthologies of Japanese poetry. The key aspects of Narihira's poetry: the first one, waka poetry. Narihira was known for his mastery of waka, a 31-syllable poetic form structured into 5 lines, the 57577. His poetry is characterized by its emotional depth, musicality, and refined language. The themes is his works often explore themes of love, nature, and the passage of time, reflecting sense of melancholy and the transience of human experience. Contribution to Kokin Wakashu. Narihira's poetry features prominently in the Kokin Wakashu, highlighting his significance in the development of Japanese literature. The anthology aimed to establish a canon of waka poetry, reflecting the aesthetic ideals of the Heian court. For example, there was the Evening Bell. One of Narihira's renowned poems, The Evening Bell, uses the sound of the evening bell as a metaphor for the passage of time and nostalgia, illustrating his reflective and melancholic style. This poem encapsulates the theme of love and impermanence, showcasing Narihira's ability to convey complex emotions. The influence and the legacy. Narihira's work has had a lasting impact on Japanese poetry, influencing future generations and the evolution of the waka form. His contributions underscore the importance of emotional expression and the beauty of nature in Heian literature. All, in conclusion, Ariwara no Narihira is remembered as a key figure in Heian poetry, with his elegant and melancholic waka reflecting the era's aesthetic sensibilities. His significant contributions to the Kokin Wakashu solidify his legacy in Japanese literature, emphasizing themes of love, nature, and the impermanence of life. So, next one is the writer Onono Komachi and her poetry. Onono Komachi, 834-885, was a prominent poet of the Heian period, known for her beautiful and often melancholic waka poetry. Her works are featured in the Kokin Wakashu, or the collection of ancient and modern Japanese poetry, an important anthology compiled in 905 CE. The key aspects of Komachi's poetry. First one, waka poetry. Komachi's waka are characterized by a 31 syllables structure, 57577, showcasing lyrical beauty and emotional depth. Her poetry reflects a sensitivity to nature and humans' emotions, often conveying feelings of longing and melancholy. So the themes is common themes in her poetry include love, desire, and the transient nature of beauty and life, aligning with the aesthetic ideals of the Heian period. The contribution to Kokin Wakashu. The Kokin Wakashu aim to showcase the best of Japanese poetry, and Komachi's inclusion highlights her significance and the esteem in which her work was held during her time. The example is the I Long for Him Most and the Color of This Flower. One of her well-known poems expresses deep longing and emotional complexity. I long for him most, and the color of this flower. As I gaze at the blooms, their fleeting beauty reminds me of my unfulfilled love. The interpretation is, this poem connects the speaker's feelings of love with the fleeting beauty of flowers, using nature as a metaphor for the transience of beauty and love, reflecting the common themes in Komachi's work. So, what is the influence? The influence and legacy. The cultural impact. Komachi's poetry has had a lasting influence on Japanese literature, particularly in the waka tradition. Her ability to express complex emotions continues to resonate in Japanese culture. What is the literary significance? As a female poet in male-dominated literary landscapes, Komachi's contributions enrich the Heian poetic tradition and highlight the role of women in shaping Japanese literature. So in conclusion, Onono Komachi is celebrated as one of the foremost poets of the Heian period, with her waka reflecting the emotional depth and aesthetic sensibilities of the era. Her work in the Kokin Wakasho underscores her importance in Japanese literature, particularly in exploring themes of love, desire, and the impermanence of beauty. Lady Ise and the Tales of Ise. Lady Ise was a prominent poet of the Heian period from 794 to 1185 CE, best known for her collections of waka poetry titled The Tales of Ise, Ise Monogatari. This work, which combines poetry with narrative, offers a deep exploration of the emotional and social life of the time. The key aspects of the Tales of Ise. Structures. The Tales of Ise consist of 125 poems interspersed with prose, recounting the story of a nameless protagonist, often thought to represent Lady Ise herself. The work reflects various romantic entanglements and personal hardships. Waka poetry. Lady Ise's waka are characterized by the traditional 31-syllable structure, the 57577, marked by emotional depth and vivid imagery. The key themes: number 1 is the love. Romantic relationships. The poetry explores the complexities of courtly love, highlighting the joys and sorrows that accompany romantic connections. Longing and desire. Many poems express a profound yearning for loved ones, capturing the essence of emotional longing. Number 2, loss, heartbreak, and mourning. Themes of loss are prevalent, depicting the emotional toll of losing a loved one or ending a romantic relationship. Transience. Lady Ise reflects on the fleeting nature of happiness and love. Transience of life. Impermanence. The awareness of life's fleeting moments, or monon-aware, is central to her poetry. Lady Ise emphasizes the fragility of beauty and happiness. Nature imagery. Nature is often used to symbolize the passage of time life cycles, enhancing the poignancy of her reflections. The influence and legacy. Cultural significance. Lady Ise's work has significantly influenced Japanese literature, embodying the aesthetic ideals of the Heian period and impacting future generations of poets. Representation of women. As one of the few known female poets of her time, her contributions enrich the literary tradition and provide valuable insights into women's experiences in the Heian society. So in conclusion, Lady Ise is celebrated for her emotionally resonant poetry in the Tales of Ise, which explores themes of love, loss, and the transience of life. Her legacy as a female poet in the Heian period highlights the vital role of women in shaping the Japanese literature.
Kamakura and Muromachi periods. Fujiwara no Teika, also known as Fujiwara Sade, was a highly influential Japanese poet, scholar, and literary critic. He played a crucial role in compiling and preserving traditional Japanese poetry, making him a central figure in the literary world of the Kamakura period. A prominent poet and scholar, he is known for compiling the Hyakunin. Teika's most famous contribution to Japanese literature is his compilation of the Hyakunin Isshu, a collection of classical poems. He is revered for his critical role in shaping the perception of Japanese poetry, and his influence continues to be felt in Japanese culture today. Zimi Matokyo as a prominent playwright and a theorist of the drama. It emphasizes his key role in shaping and developing his traditional Japanese art form. So his dramatic texts rather than stand-alone poetry. So this clarifies that Simi's works are primarily dramatic texts designed for performance rather than poems meant to be read independently. So one example is the Kintosho, War Song of Exile. So this example, the themes is exile and longing. Yoshida Kenko. He was a Japanese author and Buddhist monk. This introduces Yoshida Kenko as a writer and Buddhist monk. It tells us about his dual roles in society. His original name was Urabe Kaneyoshi. This provides his original name, which is written in Japanese characters. It's important to note that people in Japan often have a formal name and a more informal name. His major work, Churezuregusa, or Essays in Illness, is one of the most studied works of medieval Japanese literature. So this highlights his most famous work, which is a collection of essays. It also emphasizes the importance of this work in Japanese literary history. A more accurate translation would be Notes from Leisure Hours. This offers alternative translations for Churezuregusa that better capture the essence of the essays. It suggests that the work reflects the author's personal observations and reflections during his leisure time. Yoshida Kenko, a notable Japanese author and Buddhist monk. So one of his works themes is beauty of nature, transience of life, traditions, and friendship and abstract concepts. So the Churezuregusa is one of his famous collections of essays which reflects on the topics mentioned above. So Churezuregusa is part of the curriculum in modern Japanese high schools, signifying its continued relevance in teaching cultural and literary traditions. It is also studied internationally in some schools, particularly those offering the International Baccalaureate Diploma program.
Next is the Edo period, year 1603 to 1868 CE. This era saw a flourishing of popular literature including fiction, poetry, and drama. One famous personality during this period is Ihara Saikaku, born 1642 and died 1693. Ihara Saikaku was a prolific writer known for his realistic and often satirical portrayals of urban life in Edo. He was originally a haikai poet, but he turned to prose fiction later in his career, producing works that vividly depicted the lives of common people. His narratives are notable for their rich detail and keen observations of human nature. Among his works are first, The Life of an Amorous Woman. This work explores the adventures and misadventures of a woman who navigates the complexities of love and society. Another is The Gossamer Years, which is another significant work that delves into themes of love, money, and social mobility, highlighting the aspirations and struggles of individuals in the Edo period. Another famous personality is Matsuo Basho, born 1644 and died 1694. Matsuo Basho is considered one of the greatest poets in Japanese literature, renowned for his haiku. His poetry is characterized by its brevity, simplicity, and evocative imagery, capturing the essence of nature and the fleeting moments of human experience. One example of his works is The Narrow Road to the Deep North. This travelogue is a masterpiece that combines prose and haiku, documenting Basho's journey through northern Japan. It reflects his deep connection to nature and his philosophical insights into life. Next, Meiji, Taisho, and early Showa periods year 1868 to 1945 CE. This era, marked by rapid modernization and westernization, saw a dramatic shift in Japanese literature, with Western literary influences becoming increasingly prominent. So one of the famous personality during these periods is Natsume Soseki, born 1867, died 1916. Natsume Soseki is known for his psychological realism and insightful portrayals of modern Japanese society. He was one of the most influential novelists of the Meiji era, blending traditional Japanese themes with Western literary techniques. One of his works is I Am a Cat. This satirical novel provides a unique perspective on human nature and society through the eyes of a stray cat. It explores themes of alienation and identity. Next is Kokoro. This novel delves into the complexities of human relationships and the search for meaning in a rapidly changing world, reflecting the anxieties of the Meiji period. Number 2 is Mori Ogai, born 1862, died 1922. Mori Ogai was a novelist, playwright, and physician known for his historical fiction and his exploration of Western literary influences. His works blend historical accuracy with psychological depth, offering nuanced perspectives on Japanese society and culture. Among his works are The Wild Goose and The Dancing Girl. The Wild Goose is a novel that explores the lives of individuals caught between tradition and modernity, delving into themes of personal and societal change. While The Dancing Girl is a short story that highlights the clash between Western and Japanese values through the tragic love affair of a Japanese student and a German dancer. Last but not the least is Akutagawa Rinosuke, born 1892, died 1927. Akutagawa Rinosuke is a renowned short story writer known for his dark and often macabre tales. Macabre, something referring to something grim or horrific. His works explore themes of morality, human nature, and the fragility of reality, often drawing on historical and psychological themes. His works are Rashomon and In a Grove. Rashomon is a short story which inspired the famous film by Akira Kurosawa, examines the nature of truth and morality through multiple perspectives, while The In a Grove is another significant work that explores the subjective nature of truth and the complexities of human motivations, also adapted by Kurosawa in his film.
Now, let's proceed to post-war literature or modern period. First is Yukio Mishima, was born in 1925 and died on 1970. Yukio Mishima was a Japanese novelist, playwright, and political activist. He is known for writing bold and sometimes controversial stories. Two of his famous novels are Confessions of a Mask and The Temple of the Golden Pavilion. Mishima's work often focused on themes like sexuality, violence, and the search for identity in the modern world. His characters struggle with inner conflicts, trying to find their place in a society that is changing rapidly.
Mishima's writing style was unique, and he became a prominent figure in Japanese literature, though his views and actions stirred debates. His life ended tragically when he committed suicide in 1970 after a failed political protest. Next is Haruki Murakami, born in 1949. Is a contemporary Japanese novelist whose works often combine the real and the fantastical in unique ways. His narratives are known for being surreal, with characters that move between the everyday world and strange, dreamlike realms. Two of his most famous novels are Norwegian Wood and Kafka on the Shore. Norwegian Wood is a more realistic novel compared to his other works. It tells the story of a young man, Toru Watanabe, who reflects on his university days and the emotional struggles he faces after the loss of his friends. The novel explores themes of love, loss, mental health, and the difficulties of coming of age. Kafka on the Shore mixes reality with the surreal. It follows two main characters, Kafka, a 15-year-old boy who runs away from home, and Nakata, an older man with the ability to talk to cats. The novel weaves together their journeys, exploring the deep ideas like fate, personal identity, and the supernatural. In Murakami's novels, common themes include love, loss, and the search for meaning in a world that often seems disconnected or strange. His characters usually loneliness and alienation as they try to understand themselves and their place in the world. These stories often leave readers with a sense of wonder and mystery, reflecting the fragmented nature of modern life. Kensaburo Oe, born in 1935. Kensaburo Oe is a Japanese novelist recognized for his experimental writing and politically charged themes. He often tackles serious issues in his works, focusing on war, family struggles, and the human condition. His writing style is complex, but he explores deep emotional and social issues. Two of his famous novels are A Personal Matter and The Silent Cry. A Personal Matter tells the story of a man dealing with the birth of his disabled son, exploring themes of responsibility, fear, and personal growth. The Silent Cry is about two brothers who return to their rural hometown and face their family's dark past, dealing with themes of personal and collective guilt, as well as societal issues. In his novels, Oe often addresses the effects of war, particularly Japan's experience during and after World War II. His works also reflect on family dynamics, individual struggles, and broader questions about human existence, making him a key figure in both Japanese and world literature. Next is Tamura Ryuichi. Tamura Ryuichi was an important Japanese poet known for his role in founding the poetry magazine The Wasteland, or Arechi, which became a platform for post-war Japanese poets. He was instrumental in editing its early issues, helping to shape the direction of modern Japanese poetry. Two of his significant works are 4,000 Days and Nights and Dead Language. In his poetry, Tamura often dealt with the themes of existentialism, exploring the meaning of life and the struggles of the human condition. His works also reflect a sense of dislocation and crisis, particularly influenced by the aftermath of World War II. Additionally, he used satirical humor to critique society and express his views on the turmoil of the modern world. Tamura's poetry is noted for its sharp language and deep reflection on both personal and collective experiences, making him a key figure in post-war Japanese literature. Next is Abe Kobo. Abe Kobo was a prominent post-war Japanese writer known for his avant-garde and existentialist works. His writing often explores complex themes like identity, alienation, and the absurdity of human existence. Two of his famous works are The Woman in the Dunes and The Face of Another. The Woman in the Dunes tells the story of a man trapped in a remote village where he is forced to shovel sand endlessly. It explores themes of confinement, identity, and human struggle. The Face of Another deals with a man who loses his face in an accident and receives a new one. But this change leads him to question his identity and the way others see him. Abe's writing often portrays individuals isolated from society, struggling to make sense of their lives in a world that seems irrational or absurd. His works are key examples of post-war Japanese literature, blending psychological depth with a philosophical questions about existence.
And that's the end of our discussion. Kyote kurete arigato.